Hello there. My name's Mark, and this is episode 55 of the Holocron Chronicles. I'm trying to keep it together and not start laughing or coughing or anything else, but I'm happy to be joined as always by my cackling co-host, my favorite co-pilot in all the galaxy, Charlie Carden. Charlie, how you doing tonight?
Oh yeah, it's you know what? It's the end of Monday, which is the best of all possible scenarios, and we're talking about Star Wars. So yeah,
Exactly.
What else is there? What else is there?
I mean, by the time people are listening to this, it's going to be mid Wednesday, so it's
Wednesday-ish.
gonna they're over the hump at that point. So that might be a little bit better, getting inching closer to that weekend. So
Yes, exactly.
depending on how people like their weeks or whatever, there we go.
All right.
But we are also joined today by a very special guest, Mr. Jason Lacy from Fluxtaposed. How you doing, JC?
I'm
Jason.
fabulous.
Jason.
Thank you.
I combined your name
It's
there.
okay. It's okay, Mark.
I'm all
It's okay. Thank you. Thank you for having me on. And I'm glad that, we talked about doing it and now we're doing it. So it's always great when things work out. And usually my life is the one that throws the objections out there. So it's always great when I can make things work out, I should say. So thrilled to be here.
Yeah.
Great to be on and great to be talking with you guys tonight.
That's awesome.
Sweet.
Like you said, we have been talking for a bit, and tonight, yeah, it was me that was like, guys, can we push it back? My kid's fighting sleep. He was fighting, so he had like a little tiny bit of a rash, and we just gave him some like Benadryl to kind of like ease it off. Benadryl usually has the benefit of knocking a kid out cold.
Yes.
It's like a 2x4 bonk.
This little sucker is definitely mine because I fight medicine in the same way. Any kind of thing that you can think of that will knock someone out, usually like Gravol or whatever it is, Tylenol 3s, I'm like, burn right through it, baby. Let's go.
Shoot him in the ass with the trank. Bonk.
Normal freezing doesn't
Done.
work on me. Like I had to get a cyst removed from my back a few years ago, and I could feel everything. And the doctor was like, "Can you feel that? What is wrong with you?" And
You're superhuman, Mark.
The normal does it.
They
Yeah, my dad's the same. It's just kind of.
They actually couldn't knock me out for my colonoscopy last year, so they kind of turned
Oh,
me
all
into
right.
a puppet. It was fucked up.
Jesus. This is the quality content people come listen to.
Stuff. I know this.
They
This
want
is the
Star Wars. They get human puppets.
Yeah. This is the free
fantastic.
stuff too. This isn't even
That's
the
right.
new exciting thing that we've got to talk about because we've taken that next step in evolution with the podcast.
Yes. We have, yeah. We've started a Patreon for not just this show, but for Secret Friends Unite as a whole. So, this is we just launched it last week, so this is our first episode officially as a podcast with a Patreon. So, if you like the show, if you get your Star Wars fix here every couple of weeks and you want to throw us a couple of bucks, you can do that over at patreon.com/secretfriendsunite. And if that's not in the cards for you right now, I know that things can be tough, especially in this economic climate. So just throw us a share, throw us a little like, and that counts just as much, just getting us out there. But for anyone that has supported us so far, that's thinking about it in the future, thank you so much. It's cool to have Patreon and to see that kind of support coming in, and it really helps the show. It's going to help us hosting, and we've got new shows going on. I think each of us are doing at least one new show that's Patreon exclusive. A few might kind of eventually hit the free feeds after a unspecified amount of time. We're kind of figuring that stuff out. But right now there's like 3 or 4 shows exclusive right now on our Patreon feed, Charlie.
Yeah, we've got
it's kind of exciting.
Todd and I are dueling with alternating Friday shows. I've got one that I'm doing with the guest where we're breaking down some older genre shows. It's called The Facts of Geek Life. So far, we've done the second one's coming out this Friday. Send up with the first season of the classic 70s Buck Rogers, which has just been a hoot. Todd and I are talking about comics. No, that's the one that's coming out this Friday. Sorry. On the Spinner Rack, we talked about an independent title last time. We're talking about a Marvel title this time. So it's a lot of fun stuff. Mark, I was listening to your bit, the Canadian Corner, just when I was running errands today. And I thought, even though I wasn't in to video games and stuff, the way that you talk, you got the golden voice of the three of us. You really do knock it out. So I could listen to Mark read the phone book, even when there was phone books. I could listen to Mark read it. He's got
I'm
the
sure I
scope.
have a phone book somewhere between here and like my parents' place or something. So maybe I'll get on that if I run out of content.
Buried
But
under the
mine, yeah,
snow, I'm sure.
the Canadians Corner is gonna basically be a kind of variety show that I'm gonna talk about. Um, Kind of the stuff that we don't get to on this show, or like since we alternate weeks, or since I alternate weeks between this show and co-op mode, there's like off weeks where like something will happen in video games this week where I'll be like, oh shoot, I don't want to wait till next week to talk about that. Or again, on off weeks, like something might happen in Star Wars and I'm like, I am not waiting till I can talk to Charlie about this. Like that's going in this show. So it's going to change. Or I might just talk about something completely different of a show we're watching or something like that. Or, I get excited about the VR space a lot. So there's some stuff even dropping tonight that I might end up talking about by the end of this week. So I haven't planned out
Ooh, I
this
like it.
week's show yet, but yeah, we're gonna get into some stuff. But that's it. So yeah, if you want to support us on Patreon, again, that's patreon.com/Secret Friends Unite. So that's what we'll leave it at that for now. But enough about us. I want to hear all about Jason. We already
Me.
mentioned. Yes, yeah,
Gosh,
you're on a
man.
show.
Congrats on the launch, though. Congrats on
Thank you,
launching
thank
that.
you.
So hopefully,
Gratitude.
much
Thank
That's
you for
success
that.
for you.
yeah, thank you. So first off, before we get into the Star Wars stuff, tell us a bit about you and what you do in the podcasting world.
Yeah, so the podcasting world, it feels like I've taken almost a step back over the years, just because life. And I'm sure as podcast hosts, you can echo this too, and your journeys that life, as I like to quote Jeff Goldblum, finds a way, and it just catches up with you. And I feel like with family, with a not so much a growing family, but with I have a 5-year-old now, and that demands time, and work's ramped up and through promotions and that journey. Taking a step back from podcasting though, but I still love to do it when I can. And I do I guess we're bi-weekly now. I do been a passion project for years now. As Mark mentioned at the start of the show, what the Fluxtaposed with my best friend Lucas, who's had to take a little bit of a hiatus due to a work schedule, and luckily Kevin Austin from PSVG fame has
PSVG,
kind of stepped
yeah.
in and hangs out with me. And I've had hopes. I've really enjoyed that journey, and I've had hopes of kind of kicking off a side project now for a couple of months, and I just haven't found the time to get back into it. But it's I always knew that even with time and constraints like that, like if I couldn't podcast, it feels like something would be missing. So it's more like it just that they do it for the love of the hobby. I guess at
Mhm.
this point, I think a lot of people, when they get into it, I'm gonna create this super unique thing, and everyone's gonna love it, and it's gonna blow up. And I think everyone, you want to have your show find an audience, and just I don't know. I guess everyone has success measured in a different way, but now I'm at the point where it's like, you know what, I just enjoy doing it, and if people listen to it, great. People don't listen to it, great. I just want to do it. So it's been weird because I think kind of I've always been kind of gaming's been a big hobby for me, and that's kind of taking a step back. And I never thought where I'd be like this career first guy, but I think that's I feel like I've kind of entered that next phase of life a little bit. And I don't know. Work's definitely. I guess I've been lucky enough where I love what I do, and that helps. And not to say that I don't love the other things, but I don't know. I try not to let work define me, but it's definitely been like that's where a lot of my passion has gone to now, and where pulled me out of gaming and out of some of my other hobbies. But I don't know. I think I'm finding ways to balance it all, and I think that's the key, is really that balance, and not letting one thing take over, and being able to check in with the other realms of your life. And because I know
Mhm.
if you get too focused on one area, you're going to lose out on others. So
Yeah, it's nice to be that passionate about a job. About like a career and
I
what you're
mean,
doing
it
and
is
stuff.
to an
It's
extent. You don't want it
Yeah.
to like
exactly,
you
yeah,
know.
Hmm.
take
Work
over
life
everything. But
balance, and this is the
you have to
balance.
find a
Yeah.
balance. But
Yes, exactly.
it's when you like it, when it's a slog and you're still like working your ass off, and that's your big focus,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you hate
True.
every minute of it. That there, I know people that are like that just like they work whatever, it feels like 200 hours a week and they
Yeah.
just hate every second
Yeah.
of it. And it's
Yeah.
like,
And I think I've
dude,
definitely
that just
gone
sucks.
through
So
that journey, and I think I'm privileged to be in the position where I am, where I've like helped shape a company, and we've helped grow, and like really building something special there. And I've like built myself to the position I'm in now, where I have this niche spot that I just get to own and maintain, which is cool. And it's been a fun journey. So
that's awesome.
yeah,
That's awesome. And it's
Right
good,
on.
like podcasting, as long as you have is like, because I think all three of us, we've been podcasting for years.
yeah, I guess, yeah.
Right.
Because when did you guys start? 2014? Was that when Super Friends kicked
Yeah, that
off?
was Extra and me. It was in the fall of 14, and then Mark
Yeah.
came to us. What, about 5 years ago? Was it Mark? It was you and Todd, and then
Gosh,
Four
that long
maybe with
already.
Todd.
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And
think
I did
like
Warp Whistle
2013,
for
2014
4
for
or
me
5
as
years
well.
before
Yeah.
that. Yeah. So like we've all, so it is nice. And that's kind of like how I got into Secret Friends was like, Warp Whistle ended with my brother, and I
Hmm.
love talking about video games and stuff. And it was kind of like, well, do I want to start my own show again? Do I want to do something different, or do I want to, I pitched it to Todd as like, hey, maybe like, could I have like a 5-minute, 10-minute video game segment in the middle of like, because I think who was doing that for a bit? Oh man, was there someone doing that on Megadads or something like that, like Insipid Ghost? Maybe doing something,
Oh
or
gosh, yeah, they had
there
some.
was someone who had a
Yeah,
little
they did something like
segment of
that, and
something,
then they
right?
had. I think
Like
didn't they
Luke's
have?
take or something like
Yeah,
that.
Luke, but then they have Dave. Dave Moore was doing something like
Or it
that
might
a
have
little
been
bit
Dave.
too, and yeah.
And that's kind of like I took that. I was like, maybe I could do that, like the little my little segment in there, because I knew Charlie didn't like video games and kind of didn't want Todd
right.
to talk about video games. So I thought maybe that's I could fit in there, and it snowballed very, very quickly into Todd and I doing a show.
It's all this
Um,
magic, and yet it
but
was Todd who
that
nudged me down
that
the road of
literally.
starting code, and then you and I connected over this, and here
Mhm.
we are.
But that literally like came from me just being like, I still kind of like doing this.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
didn't really want to
yeah,
give it up. It was like finding a spot. So
Right.
it's nice when you've been doing it for as long as you have, that hopefully if it does kind of work out, that you focus on different things or whatever, like hopefully you can keep at least jumping into different shows. Like I love listening to you
yeah.
anytime you're on Sean's show, or we'll happy to have you on here and hopefully get you back to
Yeah,
talk
that's the
about your
next thing
different
I want to do is
interests.
just abandon my stuff and just join a proven product, and just don't have to worry
Perpetual
about
guest star,
don't have to
riding
be
on
the
coattails.
creative pulling
Right.
the weight, and just do whatever. Yeah,
Right.
do that drunken
That's
uncle that shows up on the weekend.
There
You
you
just
go,
never know.
I like
Barney
that.
Gumble. Go for it.
That's pretty great. But I do, if you're still enjoying doing your own thing, and there's a nice amount of freedom in that, then that's great, man. That's awesome to
Yeah,
to
yeah.
hear that you're still finding that balance. So that's good. Let's get into your Star Wars origin story. So I'm curious, how did you first get into Star Wars?
I was trying to think of that when I saw the notes here, and first of all, I have to say, fun fact: I had a short-lived Star Wars podcast back in the day that was called the Holocron Council. So
No
What?
shit.
there's your fun
What?
fact that yeah, myself and Nathan from PSVG at the time launched it, and it was focused on the when Marvel started the run, when they first got the franchise, and they started doing that. What was that,
Wow.
back in
15?
20?
15.
Yeah,
When they got it back, yeah.
yeah. And we started just doing like kind of book club episodic, and
Oh,
then
we started that way too, and we didn't make it because we had to,
yeah, no,
we hadn't
exactly,
reached
crashed and
it. We just
burned, and
kept
then I
going,
think
and then
we got to the point where it's like, when I was like, I looked around, I was like, man, I can't single issue comics. I can't keep doing this because
I
they
know.
just pile up. And then what do you do with them? If you start buying long boxes, you're in for a world of punishment.
Oh, I
So,
know. True,
Mhm.
true. Yeah, I got out of that bit a while ago.
so born in 83. So I think my initial exposure that I remember, I used to go to a family friend after school, and excuse me, it wasn't a family friend. It was actually a family member. It was one of my mom's cousin that would watch me. And I remember in the summers, they had cable. I didn't have cable back then growing up, but they had cable TV, and I have very fuzzy memories of of seeing Empire, maybe Return of the Jedi on there, and then of course, in the summer they'd have watching a bunch of kids, and we'd go out in the backyard and reenact stuff. And I remember like I still distinctly remember with one of my cousins like, "Hey, you get to be this guy." I'm like, What does he do? He looks cool, but he just like crashes into that ship and then falls into that pit thing, which is that was my initial impressions of Boba Fett. Little did I know, but
he would get his own terrible miniseries. There you go. Give that guy a terrible miniseries. It'd be great.
So that's where I think I first discovered it. But then, like my most pristine memories of getting into it, because I was definitely like very much into Lucasfilm, LucasArts back in that era. I don't remember why, but I know she did. My grandmother bought me when they did the THX remastered VHS box set. Was that 97?
Is that with was it Vader, Yoda,
and Stormtrooper?
Midnight.
It was like mid-90s.
Special editions.
Yeah, it came out with that, and I got the nice box set, and it came with like and it was a nice like hard cardboard like
right, yeah,
poster almost of the cover art, and then it had like a little bronze Millennium Falcon. It was like the Kenner, not the Kenner, but it was like the little Hot Wheels, little standy dealy.
Yeah.
That too. So I like in the summers, I remember like as soon as I could stay home by myself, I would just watch those on repeat, every day, just watch the trilogy. Just like, oh yeah, this is that. And that was kind of the renaissance of rediscovering it. And then like, I just remember from being in that late elementary, middle school age, just devouring the movies, going into the expanding universe with the books. Didn't get crazy into the EU, but just read, my fair share, like, Rebel Squadron, not Rebel, Rogue Squadron, excuse me. The Han Solo trilogy, Tales from Jabba's Palace, like those were some of the ones that stood out to me. And then just being really excited for like Dark Forces and what that was like. I just remember that was like why I wanted a computer. Like growing up, we had Macs.
Yep.
And my mom did for work, and I was like, remember going to like Babbage's, I think at the time, and they had here it is, the Dark Forces. And I'm like, but I have a computer. Why can't I play it? They're like, it's a PC. I'm like, but I have a personal computer at home. It's our own computer. Why doesn't this work? Being at the age, not understanding these things, and then finally getting to play that and just loving the story of Kyle Katarn back then, and just consuming anything you could get your hands on, at Star Wars at that point. And only like then going into high school, and I just remember being like a freshman and like, holy shit, they're going to make new movies. This is, we're going to get new Star Wars. And I remember being pissed off because the seniors were like cutting class to go watch Phantom Menace during the school day. And
well, the joke was on them, wasn't it?
yeah, a little bit, but that that was all it took. And I just remember I'm reading the novelization versions of the movies, and it was, man, eat, breathe, sleep Star Wars. I mean, that's what it was back then, and it's always been it's kind of been like that fandom that kind of comes and goes, but then whenever something pulls you back into it, you're like, oh yeah, I remember this, 100%. But it's been a good franchise to me, probably a little more so recently than some of the other years, but still enjoy, still loved all things Star Wars, and it's been cool, like not trying to push my son into it and just letting him kind of enjoy it organically. I have to say I'm like probably more geek to show him Indiana Jones when he's ready.
Ooh,
but we'll start. We'll get, he loves Star Wars so far, so we'll let him keep going with that. So.
Let it ride.
I'm disappointed though. Like I always had that. I've read about it on Reddit, and I've kind of had that hope to like watch his face and do like to like hide the reveal and let him see what happens when he figures out the true Vader Luke connection. But in all the kids' books now, they just throw that right out there. They just spell it out there. That's the dad, and
bury the lead. Why don't you? My God,
my son's favorite book. He's two and a half, and one of his favorite books is the little golden book called "I Am a Jedi." And in that, it's 100%. It just says straight up, here's Anakin Skywalker. He was a great Jedi. He turned to the dark side, and he's Darth Vader. And it just like straight up, it's just like, well, there it goes.
It's
It's
okay. Yeah.
ingrained in his head. He knows
Spoiler
every
alert,
word
kids.
to the
Sorry,
book.
we just don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just spoiler. Thanks, Lucasfilm, for these two, and it's like he knows
Much
everything.
obliged.
No hiding it. So you've seen. I mean, you have. That's quite the history. So do you have a favorite movie, show, or like thing? Like, what is Star Wars to you? Like, what's your favorite thing you can always go back to?
I think for me, I'd probably have to go up. What I think everyone's going to be kind of what they grow up with. Like for me, Em- Empire and Return of the Jedi. It's just what I watched so much. I just always loved just the tone of Empire and just the fact that the bad guys kind of win in that, and it's
Mm-hmm.
just kind of like that nice twist, and it kind of leaves you with this weird ending. And plus, you get the bounty hunters, and it's just a cool movie. And then I always liked Return of the Jedi just because I did like the Jabba, and I liked the at the time I always liked the Ewoks, and I loved the. I was always, as a kid, I would think I always gravitated to the characters that didn't get a lot of screen time. And so it was like Admiral Akbar was I always loved him. And then, like, I just remember reading when I read Tales from Jabba's Palace, going back and like, this character was literally on the screen from a blip. And then you got, here's the name, here's the backstory, here's all this stuff. And it's like, wow, where does this all come from? Like Amphitmon or,
the three eyes guy. Yeah.
Yeah. And then
That's
who's
still the magic of Star Wars.
Reese, I think, was named one of them. And then like Tashik, I think, or something similar to that,
It's still like that, man. We're just starting a rewatch of Mandalorian, my wife and I, and that first episode, man, that first scene, he walks into that bar and it's doing the same cantina kind of thing, of like just little shots of all these little aliens, and you're like, that one looks interesting. Who's this guy? Who's that chick? Who's this? Like, what species are they? Or like, I've seen something like that before, and like, oh, I wonder what their story. And it just like, it's so quick and so whatever, but it's like 20 years down the road, we'll probably find out what each one of them had for breakfast that day, and like, what
you bet. Oh my,
it's just,
it's a 6-issue,
but you want to know,
series.
like, it just draws you into these all little ancillary characters, and you're just
like,
shit, that design's cool. Like IG-88, it's a great example. It's like, it's a statue that didn't do anything, and it's just like, what is this assassin droid? I need to know, and in Mando, it's like, it's voiced by friggin' Taika Waititi, like, a fully functioned out character. And it's, it's just,
I mean, I think we all hoped that, when that was announced, that it was going to be great. And I think everyone probably went in with that little bit of, maybe, until you finally started, digesting it, and just like, I mean, I could not ask for more of what Mandalorian has done. And like, that's the stuff I've always been really eager to see in Star Wars, is like digesting more of those stories that take place between episode 6 and 7, and like what happens after that, kind of exploring that timeline.
And there's so much space to play with, and yet they're still trying to cram more stuff into the Clone Wars too, which is what we're going to talk about now. And for better or for worse, there's still stories to tell. That's what, I don't know. I won't get into talking about Todd's feelings about the Clone Wars, but that's where he's, I just can't stand any more Clone Wars stuff. And why they got to, there's still stories to tell, because again, you're talking about a 19-year period between 3 and 4, where a lot of shit went down. It's not like, The Last of Us, which, spoiler alert, from the episode last night, where they chronicled, how quickly everything fell apart in that world. It obviously just didn't go down that quickly in a galaxy of, like, it was a little bit here, and the Empire was strip mining this planet, like you saw in Andor, and then they were doing this thing over here, and it was a little installing governors and killing off local leaders, like they did in episode 3 of the Bad Batch. So little bits and pieces of how the Republic, which wasn't that great to start with. I mean, they had dwindled down to kind of being a bunch of sacks of crap themselves, but they weren't the Empire. But yeah, it was, once Palpatine was in the driver's seat, it's like, buckle up, bitch, we're going for a ride, and none of it's going to be good.
I mean, and I have to say too, a close runner-up for me would have to still be Rogue One. I loved what they did with that, and I just remember being so geeked for that whole anthology, movie concept, and I loved it. I loved just seeing like the different. Anytime we can get away from kind of environments that we see somewhere, like Scarif was such a cool location, and just like so much of like that's like my one critique about Mando so far is like we're on or some of the shows like we're on Tatooine again.
Yeah,
Again?
it all comes back to no matter where you are, you're on Tatooine. It's one of those no matter where you go, there you are kind of situations. Like Buckaroo Banzai. Yeah, exactly.
But still very very positive direction where they're going with everything. And I just remember, was it late 2000s or like when there was like George Lucas had been working on like they were developing an episodic like a TV show in the Star Wars live action. I remember like how's that? Yeah. How would that work? And and then it's like little did we know, it'll work well if it can work very well.
Right.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Oh, can't wait for Mando to come back, and I'll be Mark. You'll be. I don't know if you're taking. I can't check the schedule, but that drops on March 1, and I'm at sea at that point because my wife and I are going to be on a cruise.
Oh wow.
Gonna miss it.
We'll see how the schedule lines up, I guess, and
we'll see.
Figure something out. We'll see. I've got my Mando helmet in the background. Clear one of my instant favorite characters. But I want to ask Jason, what is your favorite Star Wars character, or who is your favorite Star Wars character?
There's a couple I could pick from, and I tried to like weigh pros and cons internally as I was walking downstairs for this, and if I search my feelings to know it be true, it's got to be Boba Fett. Like, and I feel it's like cliche to say that, but when I go back to like season 2 of Mandalorian and just having him back in canon. Like, yes, like in EU kind of brought him back too and this and that, but seeing him on the screen again, it just like, it was like what for many people, like, and I did feel the highs of the hallway scene, at the end. Of course, it was a fantastic end to the season, and it made me realize, wow, Luke was a badass. I remember like it was instantly transported back to like that young version of myself, and like, holy shit, Luke Skywalker. I remember. Yeah, everyone wanted to be Luke Skywalker as a kid, and then I don't know. It was like everything. I'm not sure. I can't explain it. It's just the heart doesn't lie, guys. Right. The heart doesn't lie, and it's something about seeing Boba Fett back there, and just the armor and everything. It was just like hell yeah. And then
when he came back with the repainted armor and he's just kicking ass so much, like,
and then the book happened. Then the book happened and kind of took us in a complete different area, which I loved seeing more Boba Fett. However, I don't want to get into that. But
it was a book that should have gone right to paperback. I'll tell you that.
Runner up I would say runner up would be Kyle Katarn. I've always loved Kyle, especially pre-Jedi Kyle. I just like I love it in Star Wars where we never get a chance to explore characters that aren't Jedi, that aren't Force sensitive, and see more like that's what I love so much about Andor is like, let's give color to this world that isn't just in the Skywalker family or Force related. And it's just cool to build out that universe a little more.
I have no idea where you're going to go with this one. So I have to ask, if you did have some Force powers, would you, again, search your heart? It to be true. Where are you going with this, light side or dark side?
I mean, when I've ever played the games, like when I've played the Old Republic, and when I've when you're faced with making like my natural alignment, the type of person is usually light side in terms of my choices and decisions. However, if we're talking about like the powers, I mean, the dark side powers are much cooler. Force lightning, force choke. I mean,
always wins. Right? The force lightning always wins. That has turned so many people.
You say what you want about like Masters of Terras Kasi was a dog shit of a video game, but the fact that you could be Vader and then you could force choke people up in the air and then drop them off the edge of the arena and just win by ring out. I mean,
you can even do that in Lego Star Wars, and who doesn't enjoy just flinging droids?
Or just the intro mission to Force Unleashed when you got to be Vader and you're just throwing Wookiees left and right on Kashyyyk. I mean, it's a beautiful thing.
Equivalent of Cobra Commander kicking the dog. That's just no good.
Man, the Force Lightning always. Everyone's like, I want to go good, but Force Lightning. It's such a. I want to put like we've got 55 episodes to go back. I want to like clip
just a compilation of Force Lightning.
One of these days, I'm gonna like drop Finn off at my parents and just go back and make that edit. Or if someone's bored and wants to do that for me, go nuts. But I'd love to do that. That'd
do it, Mark.
I need that encouragement. Now, okay, if you're going dark side, are you going red lightsaber or do you have a different color that's your favorite?
You know, funny, I've had much experience with lightsaber colors. Back in the LAN party days, we always Jedi Academy was always a big multiplayer game for us back then. But oddly, orange. I was always a fan of the orange lightsaber, and I'm pretty sure when I played Jedi, I gave Cal Kestis. I think I gave him an orange saber too when I was playing.
That was to me, and I think Ali Graz was the first one to bring this up, possibly. One of our guests brought this up, but Cal Kestis, the pre-order bonus was the orange saber. Ooh. And that seems like it was so special because it was a pre-order bonus and because it was him. And I think the first time we really saw that in canon, and now it's been in canon because of the High Republic stuff, but that seemed to be kind of like the first big celebration of it. That was kind of like we were kind of hoping that was Cal Kestis's official color, and then Disney released the official one in Galaxy's Edge, and it's just blue, and it's like who cares?
Disney.
But
that's my son's always question too. It's like, do all the bad guys have red lightsabers? And I'm like, yeah, pretty much, yeah.
It is. It's a ritual stealing, bleeding a crystal. It's evil.
So the love of Boba Fett, I'm thinking your answer might be bounty hunters, but I have to ask your affiliation of choice. If you got to hang out,
got the slave one hanging out back here.
You got. Oh man, that's amazing. Like arms reach.
Sorry, what was that called again?
Slave one
Starship, I think you said.
Did I miss an argument debate here?
Did you? Was there a mispronunciation in using that canceled term?
No. Yes.
Oh dear. Yes.
Moving on. Favorite affiliation though: Jedi, bounty hunters, Sith, rebels, Wookiees, Fox. Who you hanging with if you can hang in Star Wars for a day with one group? Podcast racers. I think that was Dano's answer a couple of episodes ago.
Did you say podcast racers? Oh my God! Is that are you gonna make your own
pod racers?
Jesus. It's definitely the Power Ranger gang from Mando, from Book of Boba Fett.
We're doing
I defended
all their twirls.
Listen, I defended that guy online, the twirly guy.
The twirly
2 weeks ago.
The twirly guy.
Hey, twirly
guy. I defended him online like 2 weeks ago. My defense was just like, so Charlie, you can understand this one. You might appreciate this one. Wolverine in the comics. People have kind of guessed he dresses in bright yellow and bright blue to distract attention away from the literal frigging teenagers that are also on the X-Men, that he's like, hey, shoot me instead of those teenagers. Okay. And he's doing that. So Mr. Spinny Man did his little spinny flourish because Black Chrysanthemum was injured and he needed to be like, look at me. And he spun around and shot the guys and it worked. It was a distraction. I think he was just the Wolverine of Tatooine.
So Mark, is in essence, he did it
defensive. I think that, I did not expect a Limp Bizkit episode going into reference going into this episode. That was pretty good.
No.
So I will defend Mr. Spinny Guy, but that's
Mr. Spinny Guy.
I can't remember his name.
No,
Jason.
I mean for good reason. You can't. No.
Yeah.
Gosh, this is a tough one for me because I don't. You know what? I'm just gonna just so we can hear the greatest song in Star Wars. I'm gonna say Ewoks, so I can just jam out to Yub Nub.
I like that. that works. That works.
No other
You know,
no other particular reason at the time.
You're going to hear the
ah,
greatest song in Star Wars when the show ends. I'll tell you that right now. What do you
try.
say, mate?
Always sings along.
Always sings
Try a
along.
little roasted stormtrooper because they
Yeah,
definitely
I
ate
mean,
stormtroopers at the end.
Cannibalism magnifique. It was roasted stormtroopers is a chef's
I think
kiss.
so. Yeah, that's just you
There you
gotta
go.
when in Rome. So that's I think we gotta end it at eating
yeah.
stormtroopers.
I
Let's move
mean,
on to the
yeah.
news.
This one's teriyaki style. Uh,
Charlie, we had one little bit of news this week. Do you wanna read this?
I
What's going
I
on?
love this simply because it's like almost every other news bit you see. So we know that Daphne Keene, who was of course X-23 in the superb Logan, which you believe it's 5 years since that movie has gone by. My goodness,
Well,
I
yeah.
should pop it on and watch it again tonight. It's magnificent. But so there is a now deleted listing that came from her talent agency that noted that in am I saying it right? The alkalite,
Acolyte. There you
alkalite,
go. Nailed it.
alkaline, nailed it the first time. That her talent agency is listing her as a character named Jackie.
Jackie.
Yeah,
Yep.
I'm not going for Jackie. But again, when we're getting no information, we can accept any of the information that comes along and just be like,
Mhm.
"Wee."
There we go.
But this is pretty exciting. I mean, this show, it's in production right now.
Mhm.
And then, Mark, do we have a vibe before getting this? This is going to be a 2024 show, I'm guessing.
I would imagine so, but I don't think we've got an official date yet. The reason I really want to throw this in, and this is a potential name leak that could be a fake name, like
Sure.
That's my
they
vibe.
always
Yes.
they film they film movies and stuff under fake names all the time. This could be the same kind
Blue
of
Harvest.
deal. So basically I wanted to throw this in there to get your hype level on Acolyte. Like, this is the first thing set live action in the High Republic era. It's showing how the Sith kind of infiltrated the Jedi. How are the hype levels? Jason, you hyped for this era of Star Wars?
I think it's always cool to see something we haven't, yet, especially in a different medium. I would say,
Mm.
like, I'm the most hyped for Ahsoka, just because not knowing at the time when I watched it, like how much like I grew to like love Rebels, and then how they've
Mhm.
connected that to all the other shows going on, and like I'm just thrilled to see what happened to Thrawn and what happened to Ezra, and just like what they're doing there. But going back to Acolyte, it's different than anything else that we've seen so far. So I think I know probably the least about that show so far. So cautiously optimistic.
A good way to be, I think, with Star Wars shows. We've had
Mm-hmm.
super high highs and,
Yeah.
depending on your opinion of things, kind of super low
Very
lows the
spinny
last couple
guy
of years. So
lows. True.
Yeah.
yeah,
True.
Charlie, how
Yeah.
you feeling about this one?
I like, this is our first pure product of the real High Republic Jedi era. So, obviously we have Ahsoka coming up. We've gotten a little taste of kind of her not, because again, she's not a Jedi and there are no Jedi. So it's of her force wielding theatrics that we've seen from the fantastic Rosario Dawson. Mwah. Always Rosario, always, is great. But this is our first taste of, well, this is what it was like, not only at it was kind of the top of the Matterhorn, where now we're headed down, because this is
Hmm.
the beginning of the end for the
Mm.
10,000 century old, 1,000 century old, whatever it is, Jedi Order. But you're seeing, much like the kind of the thrill that we got in the first few minutes of episode 1 before Jar Jar came on screen, of seeing real Jedis do real Jedi shit, being like, wow, because you'd only
Mm.
ever seen, old men and a hulking robot do lightsaber fights, and then you saw Luke, me, 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 and then he and somehow figured it out, and then walking around with Yoda in the backpack, and it was just like, oh, okay, great. But seeing them really throw down and really be able to do, flips and shit and use the Force and have it be all crazy like that was
Mm.
incredible back in 1999.
Sure.
So yes, I would maintain your same level of cautious optimism, because the burn that is the Book of Boba Fett has not soothed in the way that it should. But this is not being like, we're going to play on nostalgia and we're going to take so and so, we're going to take so and so and give them their own show. We're going to give the guy who was the bartender in the cantina his own show. I mean, it was tantamount to the same deal, because he just doesn't have enough going to, with Boba Fett, they can put it together. You couldn't even have 6 episodes. You got 4 3/8 of a show about him out of 6 episodes. Not great. So cautiously optimistic, but excited for what I think we're all looking for. And what is Mark? I've made it to, let's see, what's the time, Mark? We're at 40 minutes,
40
and
minutes.
I haven't talked about Star Trek
This
yet.
is a new record.
I know. You see, as we've done in the in the new Trek era post 2017, Star Trek is split into 5 different shows right now. Each one of them really vastly different, telling different kinds of stories. And Star Wars is that they're waking up and smelling that coffee, because to have a franchise that if all you ever do is the same shit over and over and over again, don't make me break out the oldest of my analogies. Having pizza for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you're going to get sick of it eventually. So Star Wars, like Star Trek, has to diversify, reinvent itself, and do different stuff with what it puts out. So I'll give this its fair shake, but at a concept, at a core, I think it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, I think I'm a little less cautious, a little more optimistic than maybe you guys, but I'm dumb like that. I'm ready to get hurt again, and I don't learn from my mistakes.
That's pure of heart.
Yeah,
pure of
that's
heart.
it. Sure, we'll call it what you want to call it. Finish the lyric there if you're a rap fan. Exhibit. That was Exhibit, right? Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Let's
I'm more
move
of a
on
Run DMC rap guy. Okay, so sorry. Golden
I'm
Age.
a bleeping
Golden
alcoholic
Age.
is the next. Although I'm just Pepsi tonight. I'm good.
There you go. Yeah, it's just Pepsi.
Let's jump into what this episode's named after, which is episodes 4 and 5 of the Bad Batch, and these are 2 like kind of flavor of the week episodes. So usually we just like a lot of times we can bundle episodes together for Andor. We could kind of say, here's this chunk of story, or even for the first couple of episodes of this season, we could kind of say like, hey, kind of here's what they're aiming at, and here's what
they were
these
doing
ones
the thing.
Were vastly different. It's like 2 clones, too furious for one of kind of this weird pod racer-esque death loop kind of something or other, and then the other one was Indiana clones in the Temple of Zepho, I guess.
Wow.
They're very disconnected.
With the beauty of Wanda Sykes giving you what you likes. I've always been a fan. She just had a week-long stint on The Daily Show. Oh, it's still on Paramount Plus. Go have a look. And the week before that, because they're running guest hosts on that show right now, the week before that was Leslie Jones of SNL fame.
Oh, awesome.
Oh my God. It was so good, dude. Seriously, go check it out.
Nice. I have to check that out. So I guess first off, what did you guys think about these 2 episodes? Jason, we'll start with you. Episode 4 first, maybe faster. What do you think about this?
By the way, George Lucas inspired title, except they left out the "and more intense," because that was always his famous direction. It was his only direction.
That was it. Yeah, that's
yeah, it's funny because I watched. When did I watch episode 5? I think just the other night. I going through it, and after watching that too, I was like, boy, I don't really know what's going on these last 2, and like I enjoyed Faster. Of the 2, I would say I think I enjoyed that one more, just because they give us something kind of exciting and new in the the Star Wars universe, and it kind of rekindles like when you first saw pod racing a little bit on the screen. It was just like, oh, this is exciting. I was like, oh, I always wondered what Wipeout would be like in Star Wars. That's what it made me feel like playing like Wipeout XL back in the day, and or Road Rash in the Star Wars universe. And who doesn't love a droid version of John Ralphio? I mean,
I'm in.
The
I,
worst. Oh my god.
and then I can't not hear his voice now and not,
No.
pills, baby. It just, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Money, please. Oh, that was his
Oh,
sister
Yeah.
singing pills.
Are you gonna be okay, Teo? Pills, baby. Yeah, that's Just,
but and I
yeah.
like kind of gave us a little more gave tech a little time to shine, which is
Yeah.
um kind of cool to see. And
Yep.
I don't know, I guess I just not. I don't like the, well, we're just going to go off on this random. I don't know. I don't know. I'm always I like when, you got to have the little one-offs here and there, but I do like when we got to see when things start to make sense, and I feel like when we get to see an overarching journey and we're building towards something. And I don't, it harkens back to whenever I don't remember when I had the motivation or the inspiration years and years ago. I was like, I'm just gonna start watching Clone Wars, and then I did, and watched through everything, and then that was before I came to Netflix and made it much easier to watch Clone Wars. But when you just got like, there was no timeline. Everything was just like jumping all over, and we're just going to tell you stories. And okay,
Right.
I don't know. It was fun, but for me, both of these were just kind of like, yeah, okay.
How do you come off giving us Cody again, and then just leaving?
I've been waiting for that. Ever since we've had everything with Star Wars, I'm like, okay, here's like the whole time in Rebels, like, there's Rex. Where's Cody? What's going on?
Just hold on to that. Let's do some bullshit over here for 2 episodes. Maybe we'll do it for 3. Maybe it'll be 6. And then maybe we'll get back to him. Yeah. Can you just not?
Back to, like, who knows? Like, that's the thing with this is we, at this point, we have no idea. I will say, I very much enjoyed both of these episodes.
No, I would agree. For sure. And
very entertaining.
I loved 5 for sure.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, Charlie, you're the Mr. Indiana Jones. I'm a big Indiana Jones fan. Jason, you mentioned it earlier. Number 5 was just screaming Indiana Jones.
Yes,
like that was just an adventure.
Even with the not so subtle nods to the theme. I watched both episodes again after work today, and April was making dinner and Kim sat down, and I'm like, they're just playing the map room song right now as they're walking through, which is my very favorite piece of orchestral music is the map room. That's the John Williams map room from the scene of the same name from Raiders. Yeah, it was just it was great. And yeah, like I said, Wanda Sykes. Oh God, like I said, and Mark, you and she could get together in a studio and read the phone book together, and I would be very satisfied. Because I like
down. Wanda, give me a call.
Yeah, make it happen. Oh, she can use the phone book. She can look you up in the CDI phone book,
and then that's it. Yeah, we'll
international rates still apply.
Yeah, if I'm in the phone book, it's a number that doesn't exist anymore. But she'll find me if she wants to hook something up. Yeah, that was super entertaining from just like that standpoint, but also as a video game fan, that was clearly a Zepho temple. Like that was Cal Kestis Zepho. Like that's what he was researching. Those force sensitive, extinct race of the Zepho who always built towers and buildings and robots and things that looked like them.
Trojan,
and if you like, there's a few
laser beam thingies.
It looks like the Zepho though. Like, look, there's really good comparison videos on TikTok, YouTube, everywhere you want to go. Just search it, just Zepho, Bad Batch, whatever, and it will go through and show you comparisons of what the Zepho looked like, what their buildings looked like, what their creatures and inventions looked like, and then this towering monstrosity death machine. And like, it's
the disco.
No question in my mind that it is Zepho. Like, they are getting into Cal Kestis territory. So not only did I get my Indiana Jones fix, but I got my Cal Kestis fix. And this episode was just like, okay, all right, Cody can be off doing something else. This is a good break. This is okay. This is all right.
Would you say, because the biggest complaint, and I'm not going to name names, Todd Extra, is that, well, they give him 13 or 16 episodes, and it's just like it was. TV was in the old days where it's all fluff and they're sticking in fluff and they're like, you'd watch 26 episodes of a season of Star Trek The Next Generation. And you're like, oh, now you get to give one that's about one of the families on the ship or whatever. It's a dumb episode about Dr. Crusher or something, are these a couple of kind of fluffer nutters, as it were, before we get back to something substantive, or is there anything substantive in any of these two at all? Or is it just going to be like, we went and did a thing, or, did the squad learn something about Sid, like the gangster dude that she owed the money to, and that's why they had to go through the pod race and blah blah blah. I love that her racer guy was TAY-0 or Teo. Everybody,
Yeah.
Teo.
Hey-o.
You like that? All right. Okay. Thanks, folks. I'm here all week. Try the veal. Yeah, but did they really learn that Sid, the fantastic Rhea Perlman, would not? It's kind of one of those. I wouldn't do the same for you, because that's really what the walkaway was from. Was the guy's name Malegi, who was the big crime boss that she double owed money for. They kind of bailed her out by winning the race, and he's like, well, I wouldn't really count on her having your back if the tables were turned.
Right.
So is that a lesson that, are they going to learn a lesson, or is it just maybe it's sour grapes because they're exes or something, and you're throwing your girlfriend under the bus, your ex-girlfriend under the bus? Hey, I know I've done that, and will continue to if the opportunity arises, because I'm kind of a jackass like that sometimes. Never can tell.
For me, both of these episodes highlighted that each of these clone, and actually, I mean, this whole season so far has been highlighting something I think I even touched on last episode, of each of the clones is trying their best to instill something from themselves to Omega.
Gotcha.
They're
The dads.
They're all her father figures or parent figures, or however you want to look at it. And they're each, because they have to know that not only because of the circumstance they're in, but also just because of it, quick clone aging, she is going to vastly outlive them. So they need to leave her some part of them. They need to make sure. And I think they all feel kind of guilty for what they've done with the Empire and what happened and how everything went down. I think they want her to be the best of them. And I think you're seeing that, whether it's a fluff episode, which I think admittedly these two kind of are.
Yeah.
Again, unless that last one's really tying into some Zepho stuff and they're going to start researching like ancient Force things, but I don't think this is the show for that.
Not in this show, yeah. But like you said, for the overall
there's little bits.
Yeah, in essence, in world building, totally.
As far as this show goes, I think these were kind of fluff episodes, but I think you're seeing a bit of Wrecker's joyful exuberance of like, yeah, let's go. He's always a kid and he wants that exploratory feel. You get Tech trying to show like there are ways you can outsmart a droid. Droids are not, just because they're machines and they can think at 100 million teraflops a second, like there are ways to outsmart them. There are ways to outthink them. You can do this. And I think that's kind of what we're seeing in this and that might be the whole season. It's what lessons are they each teaching Omega? And for me, that's kind of what I'm watching from these. And I think that's giving me a little bit more, because I've said before, like move on with the story. If this could be whittled down to 5 episodes, hello kitten, random kitten appearance. Hey, there's the cat. There's a Star Trek.
That's
it's an official episode.
There you go.
So that, I think, I've been bad to say in the past, like it's 15 episodes, 16 episodes, whittle it down to 6 and get rid of the fluff. But for me, that's why I'm enjoying the fluff this time around, is because I'm seeing those lessons. And that might be just me making up a story to justify the fluff episodes, but I've been noticing that through these first 5. Jason, have you noticed that kind of stuff, or are you kind of a little bit more like, get back to Cody?
I mean, I think for me, no matter what I think, I'm just like, get back to Cody. I'm like, I'm ready. I've been waiting for this. I want to see where we're going, especially when you leave us on the, he's definitely coming to terms with, do good soldiers really follow orders? And,
he's
Right.
deserted. Where'd he go?
Yeah.
It is.
I need to know.
It's very much a Itchy and Scratchy and Poochie, and they didn't get to the fireworks factory yet. If you know the bit I'm talking, Millhouse. Why haven't they gotten to the fireworks factory?
Yeah.
Everything comes back to The Simpsons. Everything always comes
Simpsons
back to
did
The
it.
Simpsons. The Simpsons did it.
Any, if you guys, even though these were kind of fluff-ish episodes, and you want to get back to Cody, were there any standout moments, character moments, scenes, shots, something that stood out in these, like that? Yeah, that made it worth the watch for you, or that just will kind of stick with you for these episodes?
I mean, the big Trojan horse reeling out and lasering things up and stuff, that was pretty damn sweet.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna discount that in any way, shape, or form. I love that. Why was it there? Why was it sleeping? How was it controlled? What was it supposed to do? You know,
Right.
why was it, why was it entombed in a mountain? I would like to know what the hell that was all about. You know what I mean? So that was super cool.
And was it entombed in, if it is the Zepho, it couldn't have maybe not even been entombed in a mountain. The mountain could have grown around this thing. The Zepho were ancient. Because I mean, if you look at Fallen Order, Zepho temples are buried deep underground, kind of like it's just, they're so old that it's just the worlds have kind of built up around them and
I mean,
over time, right? So
my favorite Marvel Comics era Star Wars character is Dr. Aphra, and that's a personal favorite of my wife's. And this has Dr. Aphra written all over it. So no, we're way too, we're 20 years too early, or at least 10 or 15 years too early for Aphra to be doing what she was doing if you followed her origin in the comics, but still could be a later bit or something that comes back, or we've got to eventually get Aphra on camera. I would love it.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope.
Yeah.
Jason, for you, any standout moments, character, scene, anything?
I think it's like, the episode 4 was just kind of, a little more overall action to it, so it was just kind of fun to see, but it felt very familiar in the terms of like what we've seen with pod racing. But I think just seeing that treasure hunt, that Indiana Jones like experience that we got with 5, and just the puzzle solving and the booby traps and the compass MacGuffin, it was just kind of a cool thing how that worked out. And I definitely forgot about the Zepho, and I remember like trying to make I was like, why does this look familiar? And then for me, and I think now I just kind of was like, oh yeah, it's Star Wars Divine Beasts. You kind of got that Breath of the Wild Star Wars crossover a little bit there, but
the Legend of Zelda,
yeah. So, but it was just kind of cool to see, and I like that. At first I wasn't sure when they introduced Wanda Sykes' character there too. I was like, well, what's is that just like a throwaway? We just got a one-off guest spot, but it's cool to see like that actually have some prominence in the season, and she's interacting with Clone Force 99, and I just I can poo-poo on the lack of substance or lack of things going anywhere, but I just remember how much like not knowing I was going to and really enjoying the first season. So keeping that open mind with season 2, and ultimately I'm getting more Star Wars stories, and I've always loved after I drank the Kool-Aid of Filoni during Clone Wars, I just really kind of got enamored with Star Wars animation. So just give me more, so
give it to me,
inject it into my veins.
Any guesses to where this season is going? I mean,
no clue. Absolutely nothing. I'm not even gonna lie.
Yeah, I just feel like there's got to be some sort of another conflict with Crosshair. You would anticipate, but
imagine
you don't. That just feels like, well, duh. Right. But otherwise, I don't know. But I feel like
following Cody.
Yeah, like maybe some other big reveal that we're not expecting, or some other notable character gets thrown in the mix. Maybe, I don't know.
Right. This didn't give me. I mean, you heard me say last time I thought this could be tantamount to a setup that happened in the comics where there was
Mm.
someone who, assembled a bunch of the X clones. We're all going to fight together. And let's say it's Crosshairs and he's going along. And then it ends up being a double cross and they all get killed. But there was nothing in these episodes that suggested the furtherance of any kind of plot. It was just like, here's a thing and here's an unrelated thing. And we'll see what happens next. Who knows?
Right.
Jason, since you mentioned it, I do have to ask, and I think I asked this on the last episode, but deleted it from the questions this time, but you're bringing it back. You just mentioned a character reveal or someone we're not expecting. Who would your dream reveal be? If you were writing this, who would you throw in there to be like, whoa, for whether it's fan service or an introduction or something? What would you?
Dash Rendar.
The Kmart Han Solo.
Fudge. Yes, there we go. All right.
Oh my God. I'm going to say Rod Serling. I don't know. I just picked a name out of nowhere. Ethan Hawke, the actor. I don't know.
That's who you want to voice? Okay. All right.
No, I want it to really be him.
Ethan Hawke. There we go. Ethan
Sting, the musician, and Austin Powers. I want them all to show up.
Perfect. No, that's such a great answer. That'd be a really cool way to tie him in and make him canon again.
Yeah, sure. He is canon again, but just very peripherally.
Is he?
So, yeah, go research it. It's some little weird tweak because the Outlander was flying somewhere. His name mentioned. It's something.
Oh,
it's in the yeah. Is it in the one of the special editions? That he like leaves Tatooine or something. Of course,
it was something. Go to Wikipedia when you're done here. Yeah. It's that, and it's also something else. I swear.
Or let's bring back HK-47 again. Why not?
Kay, who is my regular co-host on Code 47, was on with us last time, and she was talking. That was her main character she wanted to talk about was HK-47. So there you go. It's happening. It's happening, man.
There we go. Yeah, two in a row. Maybe if that's the character, you guys, I owe you both.
Deal with it, meatbags.
Oh, the meatbags. He must be so misunderstood. I'm sure that's the case.
Exactly. This was fantastic, Jason. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure.
Please tell people where they can find you and what they can where they can listen to you and find you on the internet.
You can check out Fluxtaposed.com. That's our site. It's got all the links for all the things, the RSS, the website, the channels, all the bells, all the whistles. I'm not as easy to find anymore. I've like abandoned mainstream social media, and I'm all revolting against the Bluebird and its evil overlord. And
I hate Facebook more myself these days, but it's because they hacked and nuked me, and it was bad. So I skirt. I do find myself on Twitter, unfortunately. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I love the people there. I hate what they're doing to it. So now I'm one of those crazy Mastodon people, but it's been a fun experiment. So
cool. I've been digging Hive, and I want to jump over to Mastodon, but I downloaded it and looked at it, and it was like pick a server. It was confusing to me.
It's very confusing to get started. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, they need a little simpler, user-friendly onboarding, and then I think I was reading an article today that was like Mastodon's taking off, and anyone that was building like third-party Twitter, like Tweetbot and that kind of stuff, is like they're moving over to building Mastodon clients, which I think will that's kind of what made one of the things that made Twitter take off. So, so really cool. But if anyone is looking for you just joined a really awesome Discord server today.
Some guy sent me an invite. It was kind of like a free candy van, and I took the bait.
Oh boy.
Yeah, you got to be careful of those
driving the
invite
van.
links.
Watch out. He looks skeevy. It's true.
And it's all maple candy because I'm Canadian. It's just snow, and although there's no
maple and poutine.
Poutine candy. Yeah. I don't like it. Oh,
Can it be poutine? That's going to be a new show on the Snack Network. We're just going to take different things and see if we can make poutine out of it.
Oh my God.
I wish I was making that up. My friends and I have actually been talking about that.
Oh my God.
I don't know if we're actually going to do it.
You can make it out of pine cones. I'm impressed. Oh my God.
I have sent a couple of messages to Dave Moore about that one and talked to my friends. That might happen. Anyway, thank you, man. So this has been so great, and we hope you'll join us again.
Yes, indeed. Awesome. Well, where can't you find me? You're not going to find me on Facebook very much, not under my real name, but you can find me over on Twitter at the C3. and other socials out there. I'm dabbling on Instagram again, but I'm using my fake name. So just drop me a line if you want to do that stuff. But my wife April and I do run the USS Grand Petoskey. It is one of the largest chapters of the International Star Trek Fan Club. We are based here in West Michigan. If you're a Michiganite, if you're not a Michiganite, you want to talk about Star Trek, you can find us on a website of that name and on other social medias too. But I spend a lot of my time dragging around not only our Secret Friends Unite Discord, but also the Discords that I run, not only for our chapter, but I actually also run the region, which includes Canada. Mark, you work for me. You just didn't know it because we go all the way out to Nova Scotia. I'm the guy.
I am thrilled. That's great. You can tell my exuberance right now. Right,
it's bleeding over.
He's exuberating. It's making a noise.
There we go. You can find me on pretty much every platform. Twitter, I'm still there. Instagram, a lot more on Discord and TikTok sometimes, but a lot more on Discord. And it's _Canardian there. If you're over on Hive, look me up. It's just Canardian because they don't do underscores, and that's it. Yeah, so that's where I am. But Discord for everything I'm giving away. I know this isn't video game week, but I'm still trying to give away a few VR games and other things. So if you missed co-op mode, send me a little DM in Discord, and I'll tell you about the giveaways that I'm doing. So there we go.
That reminds me of some giveaways I've got to use that to motivate our Patreon. But anyway, more on that some other time. Friends, thank you as always for joining us. I'm going to tell you that sharing is caring, and to keep on trucking.
May the force be with you. Rex, play us out. This podcast is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network. Visit secretfriendsunite.com for more great shows, articles, news, reviews, and more. Secret Friends Unite podcasts are available on Apple, Google, Spotify, and other podcast services around the world. If you'd like to be part of the conversation, you can join us on Facebook or our new Discord server, or follow @SecretFriendsU on Twitter. Please subscribe to Secret Friends Unite on YouTube and visit our merch store at tpublic.com. Just search Secret Friends Unite. Thanks for listening.